The government is standing by the legality of its people swap deal with Malaysia after coming under attack from the UN. The UN official who made the comments was in Canberra today for a series of closed-door meetings with senior cabinet ministers. Correspondent Tom Eagleton reports on a day of political manoeuvring over asylum seekers, cigarette packaging and climate change.
The comments from the UN's refugee commissioner were unequivocal.
Australian law applies to processing even if it's done outside the Australian waters.
At a public forum in Sydney, she didn't hold back from fierce criticism of the scheme, which would see 800 asylum seekers detained in Australia sent to Malaysia.
I think it violates the refugee law. They cannot send individuals to a country that has not ratified the Torture Convention, the Convention on Refugees. So there are no protections for individuals in Malaysia, and of Australia, of all people that upholds the standards internationally, should not collaborate with these kinds of schemes.
But it was a more contrite commissioner in Canberra today, following closed-door meetings with 3 cabinet ministers. She'll meet the Prime Minister tomorrow.
I've been given a lot of information. That's useful for me.
Are you still concerned Australia is in breach of humanitarian law?
I'm looking into that after I receive assurances and so on.
In Senate estimates hearing, the Immigration Department chief was already hosing down the criticism of the plan.
I'm not aware of the basis for the High Commissioner's comments. I understand that she had not been well briefed in relation to Australia's plans.
The Commissioner's due to meet and give a press conference tomorrow with the Prime Minister, but the opposition's already seized on her statements and is telling the government it has a duty to protect asylum seekers.
At the moment, there seems to be no formal guarantees or no formal arrangements that would give a guarantee of that protection. So I think these are legitimate questions to be raised about this 5-for-1 people swap deal.
But as the opposition was trying to wedge Labor on the humane treatment of asylum seekers, there was some payback from the government. Tony Abbott's yet to decide whether he'll support the Health Minister's plans to put plain packaging on cigarette packs, and she's making the most of it.
Unfortunately, when Big Tobacco have donated $3 million to the Liberal Party over the last 12 years, there is a question mark on why Mr Abbott is dragging his feet in supporting this measure.
Those criticisms seem to be finding the mark among coalition ranks. Former doctor, now Liberal MP, Mal Washer has already made up his mind, telling a weekend newspaper, "I support these reforms unequivocally, and whatever my party decides to do, I don't give a shit." He's now reportedly been joined by 2 other Liberal MPs. Alex Somerley's a cancer survivor, and Ken Wyatt's the first Indigenous member of the lower house and a long-time advocate of Aboriginal health. And today they were joined by a 4th Conservative member.
I'm a little bit different from the rest of the Nationals.
Western Australia Nationals member Tony Crook sits as an independent, and he says he supports the government's plans.
You know, clearly the measures to stop smoking are vitally important. The health and financial impost that it causes the nation is significant. I think we've all been touched by cigarette smokers.
And he touched on another sensitive subject among the coalition, Tony Abbott's direct action plan for climate change.
Well, you know, in saying that, I don't know that direct action is the answer either.
That echoes Malcolm Turnbull's criticism last week. Today, though, he was showing a united front with the man whose job it is to sell the direct action plan at a forum held by the government's climate change commissioners.
Yeah, sure, like Greg Hunt, Greg and I are shoulder to shoulder on accepting the science. We absolutely agree with that, and he is the Coalition's climate policy spokesman, so we're absolutely at one.
Less than a handful of Coalition MPs joined the event. Around 30 Labor members were there. Tom Eagleton, Lateline.